Thank you for joining us today. And in this video, we are going to talk about this example. We have like similar examples, like about three. I'll do two of them. Then you are going to do the last one and put your answers in the comment section. Let's jump right in. So we have this function here. And then the first question is we should write down the formula for the revenue. So what is the formula for finding the revenue? That's the first thing that we need to do. So revenue is equal to price times quantity. So that's the formula for finding revenue, right? But here quantity, this quantity here, we are going to make it X, and then this one is what? P. So we are going to have revenue to be equal to P times X. So that's what we are going to get. Now we can see that our revenue here is in terms of what? X. So the function here should be in terms of what? X without the P. So it means that we need to replace the P by a function that is only in terms of what? X, so that our revenue will be in terms of only X. So good for us. We saw that now P is equal to 100 minus 3X. So with that idea, we can replace the P by 100 minus 3X in brackets dot to the X. So this P here is equal to what is in the parentheses here from the information given. Then we can multiply the X through, or we can distribute the X through. So we are going to have 100X minus 3X squared. So X times 100 is 100X. X times 3X is 3X squared. So that's what we are going to get. So this is the revenue function. This is the revenue function. Now we want to also find for the marginal revenue. So when we talk about marginal revenue, we just need to what? Differentiate the revenue function to get the what? The marginal revenue. So what is R prime? What is R prime of X? So we are going to differentiate this function here. So as I said, anytime we are doing differentiation and you see a constant multiplying the function that you are going to differentiate with respect to. So here we are differentiating with respect to X. So since this is a constant multiplying this, we can factor it out. So we are going to have 100. Then the only thing that we need to differentiate from this is the X. So when I differentiate X, what am I going to get? 1. As we saw that X is to the power 1. So if I want to differentiate this, 1 drops down times X to the power 1 minus 1, 1 times X to the power 0, 1 times 1, which is equal to 1. So when I differentiate X, I'm going to get 1. So 100 times 1 minus 3. So 3 is in front of this. So I just have this one there, which is here. Then I need to differentiate this. So when I differentiate X squared, what am I going to get? From the power rule, 2 drops down, then X squared minus 1, which is going to give us 2X. So we are going to have 2X. So this is going to give us 100 minus 6X. So this is the marginal revenue. Let's look at the C. Now the C here, we want to use the marginal revenue, which is this, to estimate the change in revenue associated with selling the 11th unit. Now one trick that you need to learn from here is, now since we want to use this one, then it means that we just need to plug what is here inside the function. But note this, anytime you have something like this one, like this 11th, let's say the third, 10 first, something like this, like anytime you have these terms added to it, or maybe the 22nd, anytime you see this function to it like this, and you are coming to use the R prime, or you are differentiating the function before you plug in, you need to subtract 1 from it before you put it inside. So here the R prime of X, now my X, for me to get the X, I'm going to subtract 1 from this. So I'm going to have like 11 minus 1, which is going to give us 10 before I plug it in. So that is the idea. So anytime you have these terms added to it, you need to subtract 1. But let's assume that here there was no this, and they said, okay, selling x is equal to 11. Then this one we don't need to add, sorry, we don't need to subtract any one, because this is the x straight, this is the x is equal to 11. So I need to plug in here 11. But because it is not x equal to, and I have the 11th, then I need to subtract 1. So when I subtract 1 from 11, I'm going to have 10. So I'm going to plug 10 inside this equation here. So I can rewrite this equation as my r prime of x will be equal to 100 minus 6 times x. So I'm putting this one in the parentheses, this one in parentheses, so that now x is 10, so this one too will be 10. So I'm going to have 100 minus 6 times 10, and this one will be 100 minus 60, which is equal to 40. So know the trick. Anytime you have 11th, 3rd, 23rd, 22nd, 21st, anything, you need to subtract 1 before you plug it in the function. Good. So after we knowing this, now this, if we are looking at the interpretation, then we use this one to interpret the 11th item. Do you get it? So since this one is positive, then we are going to say that there will be increase in this. So that is what we are going to do. So that is the end of the first question. Let's look at the second question. So the second question is like the same thing, is going with the is going in the same format like the first one, but here we know that revenue, as we said, is price times quantity, which we said is P times X, right? But here, we need P, but here we don't have the P. It's just X. So don't make a mistake by plugging in this for X. When you do that, let me do that mistake for you to see. So this will be this, which will be equal to P times. So I know that X is equal to this. So I'll plug in X to be 100 minus P divided by 10. Then I multiply through. This is like over 1. So the P here will multiply the top. The 1 here will multiply the down. So I'm going to have 100P minus P squared divided by 10, which is R of X. Now look at something here. The function is in terms of X, but this is P. You get it? So since the function is in terms of X, this one should be in terms of what? X, not P. So with the idea, it means that we cannot just plug the X in this, but here we need to make P the subject from this equation and plug it rather for P. So this is what we are going to do. Since we know that this is the revenue, then from X is equal to 100 minus P divided by 10, what am I going to do is I'm going to solve for P by making P the subject. I know that this is like over 1, so I'll do cross multiplication. This times this times that. So I'm going to have, so X times 10 is going to give us 10X, which is equal to 1 times this is going to give us 100 minus P. So what am I going to do? I'm going to add plus P here, plus P here. So I'm going to have P plus 10X is equal to 100. Then I want to make P the subject, so I'm going to subtract 10X here, subtract 10X here, which is the same as P is equal to 100 minus 10X. But it's the same thing. So here, somebody can do it straight from here by saying that I'll move this one here and move this one here. So when I move the P this here, I'll have P, which is equal to 100. Then I'll move this one here, become minus 10X. It's the same thing. So now, this is my P. So now I can put it inside this. So let me shift this one here so that we can talk about a P. So this is going to be equal to, now my P is equal to 100 minus 10X. So 100 minus 10X times X. Then I'll do the distribution. So I'm going to have 100X minus 10X squared. So that's what I'm going to get. Now getting the marginal is the same as the other one that we did. We need to differentiate R of X. So when I differentiate this 100, when I differentiate X, I'm going to have 1 minus 10. When I differentiate X squared, I'm going to have 2X. So I'm going to have 100 minus 20X. Same thing. Now we want to use the marginal revenue, this one, to estimate manufacturing the sixth unit. So as I said, since this one is sixth unit, we need to subtract 1 from the 6 before we plug it in. So it means that our x will be equal to 6 minus 1, which is equal to 5. So r prime of x will be equal to, so we are using this one here because r prime of x is equal to that. So if I want to rewrite it again, I'll have r of x prime will be equal to 100 minus 20x in bracket. So I'm going to change the 1 in the parentheses to 5. So this now become 5. So I'm going to have 100 minus 20 times 5. Now 20 times 5 is 100, which is equal to 0. So we are going to get it to be 0. So that is how we are going to do it. So the last one that I'm going to show you, you are going to do it and put your results in the comment section. So we have this here, find the revenue, find the marginal revenue, try it yourself, and then find the 21st unit. But don't forget, when you're talking about 21st unit, what you need to do before you find the 21st unit. All right, see you in the next video.